It's among the most destructive forces on Earth.
If you got every warhead on the planet and put it all in one place and blew them all off, you would be approaching a magnitude 8 earthquake in terms of the total energy released.
It comes without warning, on a timetable of its own. For 2,000 years, man has tried and failed to tame this violent natural phenomenon. But thanks to the digital age, scientists know more now than ever before about the Earth's anatomy. Satellites, radar, and computers are basics in the 21st century's high-tech toolbox. They're being used to gain the upper hand and a better understanding of the planet's explosive power. It's a technological frontier experts are just beginning to explore. Yesterday's science fiction becoming today's fact. Next on Nature Tech, earthquakes. Every day, many miles beneath the surface, the Earth is restless, grinding and shifting. Movements that produce earthquakes by the thousands. If scientists could get deep inside the Earth, they'd see quakes in ways never viewed before. But the technology to do that didn't exist until now. Here, along the world's most famous rupture, the San Andreas Fault, scientists are boring a hole into the Earth's skin. The fault is a visible scar that runs for 800 miles through the state of California.
The long hexagonal pipe that you can see turning is called the Kelly, and that is attached to the rotary table which drives all of the pipe down the hole to the bit which is spinning at the bottom, grinding up the rock.
Like a carpenter's drill eating through a piece of wood, this much bigger version is pushing straight down through 1.5 miles of rock. It will then move across and directly into the heart of the fault, more than 2 miles below the surface.
From that, we can learn, we believe, what are the underlying physical principles that control the buildup of forces and their sudden release in an earthquake.
The technology doesn't stop there. The hole at Parkfield, California can be accessed on a home computer. Never before has this type of information been available to so many people with just the touch of a button.
All of the little light points represent the epicenters of earthquakes. Shown at the top in the middle is a little yellow line, and that's the trajectory of our drill hole, the San Andreas Fault Observatory at depth. We're now tipping the Earth on its side, if you will, and beginning to look at the Earth in cross-section. This particular visualization package, LiveGraphics 3D, is a really very nice piece of technology, in part because it works in a web browser and allows us as scientists to share the same information with our colleagues anywhere in the world. And that's really incredibly valuable, to be able to give them not only a static image, but a dynamic image that they can manipulate and interpret and understand, just as we're doing here.
In its 4.5 billion years of existence, the Earth has rattled and rolled. The planet is alive, stretching, straining, and forever changing. Evidence of that is dramatic and obvious. Mountain ranges were formed and pushed thousands of feet skyward by these constant movements. The shifts are caused by plates, brittle parts of the planet's crust that scrape against each other as the Earth breathes. Faults are the areas of weakness where these adjustments occur. The energy accumulated in these shifts is sometimes released in regular creeping motions, which produce small, often harmless earthquakes.
Oh my God, we're having an earthquake. Wait a minute. Hold on. Can you feel that?
Without these creep events, as they're called, stress in the plates can build, in some cases for hundreds of years. A rupture under these conditions is sudden. The consequence is frightening.
When a break happens, there's a motion, a sudden motion, and that motion sends out waves through the crust. And that's what we feel as the shaking of an earthquake, as the waves passing by us.
These seismic waves travel several miles a second, releasing devastating jolts of power.
At 5:13 on the morning of April 18th, 1906, the city of San Francisco was rocked by an earthquake of frightening proportions. Building after building went...
The 1906 earthquake that destroyed San Francisco was the result of such a release. The first tremor alone lasted 1 minute. When the shaking finally stopped, officials took stock of the devastation.
Trapped as floors and roofs fell through to cellars.
3,000 people were ultimately killed. 28,000 buildings destroyed. 4 square miles of the city leveled in the magnitude 7.8 quake. The San Andreas Fault had shifted along a 300-mile stretch. Each side moved about 18 feet in opposite directions.
It means if you and I were standing talking to each other and the fault was in between us and all of a sudden there was an earthquake, one of us would be 18 feet away in the matter of a few seconds.
The San Andreas Fault usually creeps along at an imperceptible rate of 2 inches a year.
It's pretty slow. It's about the rate your fingernails grow.
Measuring the movements of the Earth's crust is a science all its own, greatly advanced by the space age.
The last 10 years have just seen a tremendous change in the capabilities that we're now learning to use those things that we were hoping we could do 10 years ago.
Satellites have produced stunning images of the Earth for years, and now snapshots of the planet that are even surreal. Mammoth, California is transformed by this technology that is helping earthquake researchers.
They're just astonishing. They would have been considered science fiction 15 years ago, and it's really giving us tremendous new insight.
Radar, which was invented as a tool for military intelligence, has been co-opted by seismologists. They use it to track deformations on the surface of the Earth. This volcano in Russia is an example. The high-resolution pictures, taken from 270 miles away, reveal strain patterns or warping on the surface, something more conventional images can't convey because they lack the detail and depth required for such study.
It actually gives us a picture, and that's why it's so exciting, because for the first time we can actually visualize the whole deformation field, at least on the Earth's surface.
It's called Interferometric Satellite Aperture Radar, or INSAR.
What we need is an image before the earthquake and after the earthquake. And then what we do is subtract the two from each other and look at the difference. The difference tells you how the ground moved in the earthquake.
These are the most recent radar images of the San Andreas Fault, Izmit, Turkey, and the Hector Mine Fault, all sites of major earthquakes. The ruptured area is easily identified by what looks like a bullseye pattern. Scientists interpret the pictures by counting the colored rings. Each represents some movement. The contours on these high-tech maps can be compared within months, weeks, or days, allowing experts to measure even the slightest shifts. On its own, INSAR is a powerful tool. Combined with other data, like that gathered in aeromagnetic surveys conducted through more conventional flight, it has quickly become one of the most valuable elements of earthquake research. Computer modeling is another way to see the Earth and its processes. INSAR images can be manipulated like this, allowing scientists to fly over the planet as never before. This virtual tour of the Three Sisters volcanoes shows strain in the Cascade Mountain Range. Blue indicates where stress has been relieved, red where it continues to build.
They allow us to study the earthquake source, to do models that tell us how each patch on the fault moved, They allow us to track the seismic waves and make essentially movies of how the seismic waves go through and how they're affected by the ground conditions.
These bits of information contribute to an understanding of the bigger earthquake picture. It is progress at the highest level. But the foundation for today's technology is rooted firmly in the past. Since the dawn of time, earthquakes have generated fascination and fear. Centuries-old paintings, woodcuts, and drawings depict an angry earth opening up and consuming everything in its way. The earliest recorded evidence of an earthquake is traced to China in the 23rd century BC. These writings on bamboo offer accounts of the shaking. Ancient legend has it that snakes offered warnings of doom by creating holes in the ground